Thank you, Oscar. Hello, everybody. My name is Thorsten Huelssmann. I'm one of the two CEOs of International Data Spaces Association, and we are here in this panel because our network and our association with the related activities in the in the last 2 or 2.5 years could be understood as a pan-European digital innovation hub. So I think now you can also see my slides. That is good. And I want to introduce you this concept of IDSA Hubs as a tool for knowledge transfer enabling data sovereignty. So what is International Data Spaces about? It is a standard development organization, a non-for-profit organization focusing on data sovereignty. And we are pretty much working in different domains, and our key topic, of course, is the data economy and what have to be done to share data on the one hand, but also to guarantee data sovereignty. So in the core, we think that in the future and also already today, there's the need for several issues: vendor independent data marketplaces. We need to connect vendor-specific platforms, which have to be open to all and also at low transaction costs, easy to adapt and easy to work with. And this is what essentially data spaces are about: clean rooms for a prospering data economy. And I always like very much these balance graph view, because on the right hand, you see all these topics we discussed about the last 2 or 3 years already: interoperability, data exchange, and data-centric services. But nobody was talking about how can I really guarantee that I remain the owner, even though in a legal term, data ownership does not exist, and what is about the value of my data. And therefore, data sovereignty in the mentioned definition is in the core of our activities. And then, as I said, IDSA defines and has defined throughout the last years a reference architecture, interfaces, contractual frameworks, and sample code for an open data ecosystem. And well, it is data spaces, what we are talking about and what we are proposing. And a certain network of companies or data endpoints, like they are shown here in this graph view, are one data space, but only one of many, one of thousands. And there are also data connections ongoing where IDS and data sovereignty is not needed. But surely, if data become critical, then IDS, data sovereignty, and usage control is needed. And well, what we observe, and what is also fitting quite nicely to what Sylvia just presented on AI. We have access and we have certain data sharing approaches and technologies already in place in several verticals, but it looks as if there are no common rules already. So our proposal is, let's avoid new silos, let's enlarge the ground and the base, and let's benefit from cross-sectoral data sharing. This is also important. And now we are coming to the IDSA hubs, because if we see here what are the players involved in IDSA initiative? Well, on the one hand, we have organizations from research, we have universities who are preparing and have worked a lot within several research projects, which are partly also funded by the European Commission. We also have a lot of companies, organizations with the aim to implement and to develop and code commercial software based on IDS technologies. And then we have IDSA as a non-for-profit organization guaranteeing the reference architecture model maintenance requirements, coordination, and so on and so forth. Now, we already started since 2.5 years to think about, okay, what could be the transfer mechanism to bring IDSA approach, the reference architecture, and certain activities into different countries, but also into different domains. And we started already 2.5 years ago to establish IDS Hubs. And well, we define it in our own terms. It's a community in every country that gathers relevant stakeholders to develop use cases, commercial products, and data ecosystems based on IDS reference architecture and technologies. And this enables data sovereign data sharing. So knowledge transfer, collecting requirements, different domains and verticals are in the core of the IDS Hubs. And in each country, we have one hub facilitator who is somehow orchestrating these national or country-specific IDS Hubs. And I think this is also fitting quite nicely to what Oscar introduced at the very beginning, because this role of an orchestrator is also foreseen in the DIH concept as such. And what are then the targets? Well, as I said, gathering relevant stakeholders, set up and describe use cases, show the added value of IDS reference architecture and other concepts, also verify and promote the concept of the IDS RAM, and comment and define items in the functional overview of the IDSA. So this is really like a circle where certain technology offerings has to be experimented with, have to be implemented in use cases in industry, and then given back to the working groups in our association to develop it further. And well, for the time being, as I said, we have already set up several hubs in several countries, most of them facilitated by RTOs or universities or multiplying agencies, which are somehow in between industry and research. We have it in Finland, in the Czech Republic, in Spain, in France, in Italy, in the Netherlands, and also in Greece. Soon other countries to be established as well. And okay, now, well, the question is, how are these transfer mechanisms working? Well, it could be compared with a little bit like a customer journey. And this is a typical way how companies who want to be or who want to engage in the IDS initiative start with acquiring basic knowledge on IDS activities, on IDS reference architecture and technologies, understanding it, also then starting to experiment with it, start to co-creating with other companies in a local or regional ecosystem, or maybe also a domain ecosystem, to start experimenting with it and co-create at the end data spaces. And then again, well, setting up really mature use cases to collect new requirements, to experiment with the certification scheme within IDS, and at the very end, really to come up with organizations involved to develop or which develop commercial software based on the IDS standard. This is the mechanism how our IDS hubs work, and I think this is pretty much in line with the DIH concept at all, even though this setup comes from industry. It was set up since the last 2.5 years within IDS association, but from the explanations and also the discussions carried out by Oscar, by Carmen, and also by Sylvia on the AI learning networks, I think this is really a kind of example of good practice for an already operating pan-European digital innovation hub, if one wants to call it like this. Well, this is everything from my side for the time being. And I hand over back again to Oscar for the ongoing moderation. Thank you very much.